couple of polls regarding Kamala Harris. She has a 52% unfavorability rating, and when asked amongst the general population, only 51% said that she would make an awful president. There are not many people who like Kamala Harris. Her favorability ratings, her polling as far as if she was to be the Democratic nominee, are basically right now like Joe Biden. If she were out in public and try to debate Donald Trump, I mean, she's a complete moron, and she does this cackling thing. She's very snarky, and when asked about something she knows nothing about, she starts laughing like a lunatic. Again, if it was a fair election, she wouldn't stand a chance against Donald Trump. Of course, even with the voter fraud and all that, I don't think she would win either. Of course, the media would play it like, she's a woman of color. If you don't vote for her, you're a racist, you're a sexist, et cetera, et cetera. Try to play the Marxist card. But when Americans are hurting economically, that's not going to matter as much. It already does not work for a good segment of the population, and even of those people that, of course, the people on welfare, it doesn't matter. But if you're sort of in the upper middle class and you're being affected by the inflation and the higher prices, and you're seeing homeless people walking around the streets in some places, you know that they're not doing a very good job. When you see all this mass migration and you think about the prospects of your children, about how what kind of jobs they're going to have. You look at the culture, the Marxism that's being pushed, and this is being pushed on your children if they're not going to a private school. Things aren't going all that great. So, Kamala Harris, it kind of makes me wonder. I really think there's a very good chance that they'll try to replace Joe Biden, possibly with Gavin Newsom, at the convention. What are they going to do with Kamala Harris? Now, if the Democratic Party, gets her to step down, that's not going to look good either, because they'll say that they ousted a woman of color, and the far left won't vote for him. Of course, the far left won't vote for him either because of what's going on in Gaza and Israel. So it's a bit of a problem. So it makes me wonder, maybe they can try to get Kamala Harris to, quote, resign publicly, saying, you know what, I don't want this job anymore. I'm going to hand the torch over to somebody else, to get her to, quote, gracefully resign, which is a possibility. They could offer her a bunch of money to do that. They certainly can't have her as the front runner. Can you imagine if, Joe Biden resigns and says, I'm too old for this, I have health problems, I'm going to have Gavin Newsom replace me, and Kamala Harris is where she's at. I think if the establishment, from their perspective, they're going to offer Joe Biden and Kamala Harris some kind of deal to get them to step aside and bring in Gavin Newsom and somebody else, actually, for that position. So possibly, what's his name? Pete Buttigieg might be, because he's a very articulate individual, even though he's a complete disaster, from a policy perspective. But anyway, so that's just some food for thought. Kamala Harris is very unpopular for the same reasons that Joe Biden is unpopular. And on top of that, she's a complete idiot. She's not any more articulate than Joe Biden is, despite the age difference. So anyway, that's some food for thought. We'll see how my prediction goes.